get up and then all day I'm tired and I want to take a nap all day. I have no motivation. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to work. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to hang out with anyone. I don't.
Hey, I have major depressive disorder, also known as MDD. Major depressive disorder is characterized by a persistent low mood and a lack of interest in pleasure. I have a lot of sleep problems. I have almost no appetite, but then sometimes my appetite's actually really excessive, and I have a lot of excessive guilt. Hey, I work in finance, and even though I'm pretty positive and wear a smile, depression is something that I struggle with. I don't meet the full criteria for major depressive disorder, but I still have enough symptoms that seeing a therapist has been really, really helpful for my depression. Hey, my name is Joe, and sometimes I don't feel motivated to do my work. Sometimes I'm not interested in the things that give me pleasure. But these moods that I get in, they usually don't last very long. And so that's how I know that even if I feel a little depressed today, I don't have depression. It's actually not a struggle that I have. I do my best to use other words to describe what I'm going through when I'm in a little bit of a dip, like anyone can get into. If you or someone you love is struggling with major depressive disorder, then you should know that it's actually very, very treatable, and a licensed medical professional should be able to help.
Clinical depression is being 25 years old and not being able to work a full-time job anymore because your depression debilitates you. I'm in my mid-20s. This is supposed to be the time of my life. I'm in the best shape of my life. I should have all the energy in the world. My friends do.
Oh, these aren't homemade. They were made in a factory. A bomb factory. They're bombs.
My music hit so hard, makes me say, oh my God.
I think the thing that has surprised me most about making social media content while being a mentally ill person is how I am able to keep making content despite how bad my days get. Most days I'm able to muster up the energy to make like at least a couple of pieces of content. And it's weird because in that content I look very much like, okay, like I'm doing fine. But the piece that you don't see is me freaking like crying on the floor of my bedroom because I'm having a depressive episode. It obviously wouldn't be helpful to anyone to show like me and my episodes, least of all me, but it almost feels disingenuous because like when I scroll through, it's like, oh, you were like happy in all of those videos, but it was a mental health crisis day. Like it like doesn't make sense. It's very weird to be able to be on for my full-time job, be on for my part-time job, this, and then immediately cut to like the depths of despair. It feels weird. I'm glad that I'm able to still do things. Feeling of looking back at your own content and feeling like, oh, I really did just share the highlights is like, it's weird. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what I want to do. It's just like, for sure, not the full picture. And I don't owe anyone the full picture. It's just very odd that I can post a video that gives the impression that it was a fun, interesting day, when in reality it's probably like a fun, interesting 15 minutes. Being a person is weird. Mental health is weird. Everyone, get help. Have a good day, or at least a good 15 minutes. Okay, bye.
So if your baby has a bicuspid aortic valve, your cardiologist will discuss with you kind of how severe the problem is and let you know if surgery is actually needed. But generally, if a child has a bicuspid aortic valve, it's important that they get to see their cardiologist regularly to keep checking on the valve and making sure that the aorta also looks good. The only sign really of the problem might just be a heart murmur that you need to use a stethoscope to even hear it. So over time, there's some things that can kind of come up like aortic regurgitation, stenosis, or atherosclerosis. And these things can make the valve leak or just be weak over time and eventually require intervention. But having this diagnosis is not really considered a complex heart disease, although kids will require regular monitoring and may eventually need to have the valve repaired or replaced. They should otherwise be able to live an active, healthy, and normal lifestyle. So one bonus fact is that studies actually suggest that up to 75% of people with bicuspid aortic valve will require intervention at some point in their life, so early detection is actually very crucial.
Why is it that every time I try to be on the same page with someone and cooperate with them, they insist that I'm arguing with them and doing the opposite of everything that I'm doing? The other day, I was outside and I heard a bunch of yelling in the house. And the people who own the house were upset about something with the trash. I've been doing the trash and taking out the trash all the time. I clean the trash cans, I move the trash can out of the corner underneath of the table where we have it, and I scrubbed the wall because when I first moved here it was crusted with something, and I scrubbed it clean. I scrubbed the floor. I take out the trash and I take the trash out to the curb. The guy who owns this place, my mother-in-law's boyfriend, he was like, that trash is a man's job, so I don't want you as a woman having to do the trash. So I stopped taking the trash out to the curb, but that's what I was doing. So I heard them and they were really upset about something to do with the trash, but I didn't know what it was. And then we got a new trash can that has an automatic sensor, like lid, that opens and closes. What we had before was one of those trash cans with the feet pedal that you step on it and it opens the lid. But I was having a really hard time with that because every time I stepped on it, the lid would fly open and hit the wall. And sometimes my boyfriend would have to be like, hey, be careful, you can't step on it that hard. And I would hear him and respect that and make note of that. And I wanted him to know that I was not ignoring him, that I was not carelessly stomping on the trash can when I was walking by it. So he said when we were trying to figure out why we maybe got a new trash can and what they were upset about, that it might have been because the lid hit the wall and like had dented or marked the wall, and that's why he got a new one with an automatic lid, because I was stepping too hard on the trash can. And I agree that when I stepped on the trash can, the lid slammed up and hit the wall. Like, that was what was happening. That's a factual statement. But it wasn't because I was inconsiderate. It wasn't because I was stomping on the trash can. Every time, I would barely use the force of my toes. Like, every time I would be so thoughtful, I'd be like, I can't put so much pressure on this. I have to be as gentle as possible. And I would barely tap it with my toes as gently as I possibly could. And every time it would slam open. So I was trying to reassure him and let him know that I was listening to him every time that he was trying to warn me about the trash can slamming open, and that I was being as gentle as possible, that I was being very careful, that I was thinking about it every time. And he was like, you don't really need to get so defensive or argumentative about it. I was just saying, like, that's probably the reason that they changed the lid. He was like, I was just telling you something, but I forgot I can't tell you things. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be defensive about it. I'm not taking offense. I'm not arguing. I just want you to know that I did hear you, that I wasn't ignoring you, that I was trying to be super, super careful. And people don't understand this. I don't know what... Sometimes I sit things down and sometimes I try to close a door gently and I slam it. Sometimes things will just break in my hand. Sometimes, like, I'm not trying to use a lot of force. I'm trying to be gentle. So I was trying really hard to use very little force on the footstool because I didn't want it to slam open and mark the wall. I don't want to have any more problems than I'm already having. I'm trying my best to keep this place clean and put together, but it's not coming across as me reassuring you that I listen, that I care about the things in the house, that I'm trying my best to be gentle. It's coming across that I'm being argumentative and making excuses, and I don't know what to do. How do I do it? How do I get people to believe me?
3 days later.
That was rude. That was pretty fucking rude.
This is part 2 of everyday ableism that people with disabilities have to face every single day. So this one's pretty obvious, but I'm gonna say it anyways because it happens to people with disabilities on a daily basis, and it is the most annoying thing in the world. When people park in the disabled spots without having a disabled placard. This happens to me so often, and I cannot explain to you the frustration I feel. Park in a regular parking spot, because some of us don't have the luxury to be able to walk from all the way across the freaking parking lot to get into the store, and then by the time we get into the store, we still have to walk to get to what we need. I don't care if you're gonna be a second, I don't care if you just need to get one thing. Don't park in the disabled parking spot unless you have a disabled parking placard. Thank you.
Hey, autistic people, do we like trains so much because driving is absolutely terrifying? Is that it? Is our love of public transportation us trying to meet our accessibility needs? 'Cause I've been driving today and gosh, I'm thinking about trains a lot. Thinking a lot about trains today.
Ableism is so fucked up. Because why did I hurt myself last night? Because I have a fucking connective tissue disorder and I hurt myself from doing literally nothing and my hip is in pain. And if you ever have hip pain, that shit, it's I'm like hobbling around. It's not great. And I literally have a cane. The only thing I'm thinking about is the fact that my coworkers have never seen me use a cane before. And now I'm like nervous. Just use the thing that helps you. Also, hey, by the way, while we're talking, do y'all like chatty videos? Is this cool? Because I'm gonna be super honest, if TikTok is banned, this is probably what my content's gonna have to shift to a little bit more. Which I can talk, if y'all wanna hear me do a video about why that is and how like content is going to shift and it's gonna affect a very specific subset of people, probably a lot of cosplayers that make a little bit more complex videos, let me know. I'll do a whole video about that because I actually kind of want to talk about it anyways. I touched about it on Threads. Yeah, update. I literally just hobbled around my house without my cane, and I am in a situation where either I'm going to have to call in sick to work or use my cane. It's rough. I look crazy if I'm not using my cane. This is my fit check. This is your call out. If you have a mobility device that would help you and you're just not using it because you're worried about what other people will think about you, just do it. It's there for you. Fuck anyone else. Okay. Bye.
For those of you who are scared of using mobility aids in public and who have seen my recent skit regarding the grandma and the motorized shopping cart, I just want to come on here and tell you that I promise, even though we do have rude interactions with people and there are some people who judge and stare, that is a very small amount of the interactions I actually have on a day-to-day basis when it comes to going out in public and using my mobility aids. More often than not, people completely ignore me, and then there's also times where people are really nice about it. The very first time I had to use a motorized cart, I had no idea how to get it to turn on, and so I had to get one of the workers to help me, and they were so kind and understanding and gave me the run through on it and how to use it, and they didn't ask any questions, they didn't make any kind of judgy statements or looks, and I was able to roll around Target for a good 2 hours completely on my own, and I had a great time and nobody bothered me. I've also gotten a surprising amount of compliments. My very first cane I covered in Halloween stickers, and it didn't go well because the stickers weren't sticking, so I tried to like spray paint it with a clear coating, and then that ended up sticking to all the cat hair. So we don't talk about that cane, but back when it looked good, everybody was complimenting the stickers. My cane now, I have a little axolotl keychain on it and everybody compliments him. It's so cute, and it helps a lot. So if you've been scared of going out in public with your mobility aid lately or using one of the ones that the store provides, I promise you, for as many bad interactions as I have, I genuinely do have more good interactions. So I've had a lot of comments of people talking about their struggles with using mobility aids in public and asking me how I built the confidence to do so myself. The first thing that helped me a lot was actually a mindset that confidence isn't something you have innately. It's a culmination of experience, building comfort, and competence with something. A prime example is when I first started using a cane in public. I was tripping all over myself. I did not know proper form. I was embarrassed constantly because I just didn't know what I was doing. Now, my second piece of advice kind of feeds into this one, but practicing at home before you take the aid out in public. This gives you a chance to actually start building that competence at home without having to worry about criticism and judgment from others before you take it out on the town. My third piece of advice is to actually decorate your mobility aid and make it more in line with your style. Whether this is doing something like stickers, keychains, little things you can add onto your aid, or getting a custom aid. Oh my god, the canes at Neo Walk. I'll add it down below. They're so gorgeous. I want one so badly. Oh my god. Yes, decorating your mobility aid can help a lot with confidence in taking it out in public because it's more in line with your style, it matches your whole vibe, and on top of that, a lot of people end up asking about the decorations instead of asking about the aid itself. The next piece of advice is rather than focusing on the people who might judge or critique your use of an aid, focus on the people who would actually really benefit from seeing that kind of representation in public. I know for me personally, when I first started using my cane in public, seeing other young people using mobility aids was incredibly encouraging. It helped so much to be able to see that I wasn't alone and that other people were doing the exact same thing I was. I like to think about what if there's another little me somewhere out there in the world watching me right now thinking, I could actually use one of those too. Look at her using them. And my last tidbit for this video is less of a tip, more of a statement, but you deserve accommodations and you deserve to be able to use the tools that are actually going to help you get more done, be in less pain, or feel more independent. And 9 times out of 10, the people who are judging and critiquing and being rude about it, they have no idea what the consequences are of you not using that aid. They don't have to deal with those consequences. They don't have to help you through those consequences. So they never get to see what the other side of that is. And I think it really lends itself to that internal bias that they often have.
Today we're going to be ranking all of my mobility aids for everyday use. As a person with a dynamic disability, I use a variety of mobility aids depending on my symptoms, depending on my pain, depending on my fatigue, to help me get around every day. Okay, so we're going to start out with all of all of the sticks. The first stick item that I have is just a Snoopy handled cane. She's cute. She's got flowers. We love her. This is really good in terms of short trips that don't require like a lot of balance, but that I want like something to feel a little bit more secure. It's nice to be able to lean on it, to be able to like take weight off of one side or the other. Comfortability wise, it's probably like a 5 out of 10. Like the handle's not the most comfortable thing. It is really lightweight, but ergonomically it does tend to hurt my wrist a little bit because it does have to be bent at an angle. Practicality wise, this is probably the one that I use the least, just because most scenarios I need to use something that's got a little bit more juice to it. So that's this one. And then I have kind of the next step up from a cane. I have a single forearm crutch. This brand is the Smart Brand forearm crutch. I had a pair of these, but I literally just never used them in a pair. I only use them single-sided. I like this one for the same reasons that I like the cane. It's really lightweight and it helps me balance when I need it, and it's good for like short journeys. I like this one better though because it keeps my wrist and elbow in alignment, so I'm not like damaging my wrist when I'm using it. If I ever just need a single balance point or something to help with fatigue, I will usually reach for this because it can get through more terrain than some of my other mobility aids can. So I would say comfort for this one is probably like a solid 7 out of 10 just because it is way more comfortable. It's a little bit heavier than the cane, which does make it kind of difficult to maneuver. And I can't, like, if I'm using it, I can't really reach out to grab something. I have to like fully take my arm out, so that I feel like kind of takes away some points. And then I probably use this one like 3rd most frequently out of all of my mobility aids. Then we have these guys, which are kind of new. These are forearm crutches that they're like the standard European forearm crutches. They have the like swivel wrist arm cuff to let you to be able to like reach out and grab things, so that we're not like jabbing someone with your forearm crutch when you need to like reach and grab something. They're also way lighter than the Smart Crutch. I like these if I need way more balance support, like if it's not just on one side or the other, it's like I really need like dual-sided support, but I can't take any of my wheeled devices with me, either because it's too hilly or because the ground is too uneven or anything like that. These are a really solid option for those instances. Comfort-wise, I would rank these probably a 6. They're a little less comfortable than the Smart Crutch just because they don't have quite the same angle for my wrist, but compared to American crutches or the cane, I would say that they are significantly better. They don't have a lot of padding, so the plastic kind of rubs. But yeah, solid like 6.5. In terms of how much I use them, they're probably, I would say they're about equal with the Smart Crutch. I don't use them very frequently, but they come in very handy when I do need them. Moving on to my wheeled babies. I have my Biker rollator. I really love this rollator. I used to have like one of the standard rollators that is like all metal and is pretty hefty and heavy and doesn't have like nice ergonomic handles. And I just didn't find myself using it that much because it was a pain to get in and out of the car because it was so heavy and so it folded really weird. And it also wasn't comfortable for my wrists. So I just never found myself using it. Since I've gotten this one, I use this one probably equally as much as I use my chair. And the reason that I like this one is obviously you can see I'm sitting down in it, but I can also use it for bilateral balance. And I can just get it closer to me than a standard rollator. Like my old rollator, I could probably get this close to me. So I was kind of like leaning forward to use it. This one I can bring right up to me. So I'm not like leaning over and having bad posture while I'm using it. And it also gives me the ability to sit down if I need to, like if I'm having like a really bad potsy day, or if like I'm in pain and need to sit down like this. Having this is like a nice between forearm crutches and a chair. Like this is a really nice middle ground that I felt like I was missing for a while until I got this one. So I would say in terms of comfortability, this is a solid 8.5. The only thing that makes it not as comfortable as I wish it would be is that the seat isn't padded. It's just like canvas. But I'm not sitting for very long when I'm using this. So it's not enough to take away that many points for it. And it has ergonomic handles. So my wrists are in line with my elbows. So it's very straight. It's really lightweight. I have a really easy time folding it up. It folds like that. And then I just put it in my car, in my back seat. Like I can just hold it with one hand, which is crazy. And then it unfolds and locks. And then I'm good to go. It has brakes. And I use this one about the same that I use my wheelchair, probably just a little bit less. And then last but not least, I have this beauty. I have my custom manual wheelchair. Comfort, 10 out of 10. This is the most comfortable mobility aid that I use because it supports my back, it supports my legs, it supports my hips, and it just reduces my pain generally the most out of these because I have the most pain in my legs because of my nerve damage, and this just helps avoid that because I don't have to use my legs when I'm in this. I would say in terms of getting around places, this is probably the one that I have the hardest time navigating places with, just because it takes up a lot of space. It's got a pretty wide turning radius, and I can't make it any smaller while I'm using it. She's fixed in terms of like her width while I'm using her, where all the other ones I can kind of like pull in a little bit if I need to squeeze somewhere. I use this is like my go-to like daily mobility aid. It helps my pain, my fatigue, my POTS, all of that stuff the most out of any of these because I am sitting down, my blood's not pooling, my joints aren't hyperextending. She's great. I love her. Literally the only thing that sucks is that it's kind of hard to get her around some places. But love her lots. Love her lots. But yeah, so that is all of my mobility aids. If you have any questions about any of them, I know there was a lot to cover. All of these except for my wheelchair, I got either out of pocket or they were donated, like reused mobility aids that were free. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I like talking about disability. So, okay, that's all. Bye!